is amazing. It was clash heads again. That's Mostyn, Cam Water.
For the first time here for season 3. Davis on pole, Vanderkrant in second. It's going to be sprint round action here tonight. Let's go racing here at Daytona. It was a good start there from Davis in comparison to Vanderkrant in behind. Cowans absolutely bogged it up and already dropped out of the top 3 here as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time. There's biffing and barging between Gallen and Cowan. These guys are still going at it after last season. They survived for this time by though. Through turn 2 and 3 they come. Nice and clean, boys. Keep it up as they come up to...
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Through turn 1, it was a horrible start from De Bono, who's absolutely bogged it up and gets eaten alive by Dixon and Gowans as they come on through. Through turn 1 they come, and they all spread out around in towards the first sector of the Silverstone circuit. They look all right at the moment. Okay, there's already been a car spun round. That's Jordan Ferguson offline.
Is green at Road Atlanta here as well. Faulkner did get away. De Bono is tucked in as well. Unfortunately, Houghton is on that outside line. De Bono does want to turn it to 2. He's got the job. De Bono's overtaken. Now can he get Ben Faulkner up through turns for 2 and 3? They go round the right-hander, dropping down the hill. Faulkner's out in front. De Bono second. Houghton third. Ratcliffe in fourth. No real dramas going into turn 1.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostyn, Cam Waters, almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tannock and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. God's just absolute thinker, but it is a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SRWtv. Welcome into round 2 of season 4 of 2024 for the Cooler Masters Super Formula Championship here tonight out at the Circuit of the Americas. It is also the host for our next F1 Shadow Series round as we get ready to go racing here for 60 minutes around what is, well, commonly known as the Texas Silverstone. I'm your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro, joined as always by the man himself, Brad Hudson. Huddo, massive night of racing. Round 1 was absolutely epic. We continue on with our F1 Shadow Series. We get into the meat and potatoes of this series now for Season 4 of 2024. And this track could throw up some wild challenges to these drivers, could give us some fantastic racing as well. And you know what? As a driver, I don't particularly like this track, but I think with this field of drivers, we could be in for one hell of a race here tonight.
Yeah, howdy, partner. Tonight is going to shape up to be one of those races where I think, like you said, the drivers are going to really have to struggle with the track, but it's going to show, give us some very, very entertaining racing tonight. Did notice it's a little bit warm out there tonight, so might have to keep an eye on tyre management as well tonight, Hamish.
Well, this track is already a bit of a tyre killer, thanks to some of its undulation and sort of the changes in elevation around this track, plus also the long, winding, fast corners, specifically the triple right-hander. So this track in high heat, in hot Texas weather, could really throw up some absolutely incredible stuff for us. Obviously, based out of Austin, Texas, it's pretty much become the modern-day kind of new home for comedy in the world. So hopefully we don't have too many jokers out there tonight cracking too many jokes. Hopefully we can get a good, solid race. Maybe a little bit of carnage, though, to keep it from being a little bit of a snooze fest. But this season already, last week, round 1 was absolutely epic. Road Atlanta really threw it up for us, went guns blazing. And now tonight at COTA, we're in for another American track. It's a very American heavy this season across the calendar. That's just due to some of the F1 Shadow Series rounds. But I'm excited for tonight. I think, COTA, it has something about it, has something special about it. And I think we can just get one hell of a race here this evening that could really throw up some spice and maybe even a little bit of chaos for our championship.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Hamish. Look, this track, it is quite the handful. Like you said, there's a lot of technical areas and a lot of, double apexes or that triple right-hander around the back part of the circuit. And then the drivers get to have, a little bit of a reprieve with the the main straight and that long straight down the back. So I think there's going to be a lot of passing opportunities tonight, Hamish, and it may not be so much of setting yourself up for a good overtake, but it'll probably be the driver either in front or behind who will just lose their I'm expecting to lose their composure and not nail, the corner exit or the corner entry, which sets them up for the next part of the track. It's it should be a real handful tonight, Hamish.
Yeah, I think they're almost trying to drive with a full deck in their hand this evening. I mean, luckily for the drivers, they don't have to deal with cold tyres on lap 1. Imagine if they did cold tyres coming through that Maggots and Begets-esque section so early on in the track. We could still see a lot of drivers having to straight line that corner or that set of corners very early on as well. You could see a lot of drivers running it out wide at turn 1. I think the major overtaking opportunities of this track, obviously down the main straight up towards turn 1, but luckily for some drivers, you can carry a little bit more speed into that corner since it is such a steep uphill, but then also down the back straight too, and then even into those little double rights through that corner up towards the triple right-hander. But I agree. I think tonight's going to be about survival and taking advantage of your opponents or your competitors making mistakes and actually just applying the pressure on them to force the mistake as well. There's a lot of opportunities around here to make mistakes, and one of the toughest challenges is going to be the drivers just trying to mitigate those mistakes and keep themselves clean for a whole 60 minutes of racing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a real challenge of survival of the fittest, Hamish. Like you said, very technical track, a lot of mistakes to be had. But in saying that, the track is quite forgiving in the fact that there's a lot of runoff space. It's just how much runoff space they'll need or hopefully they don't spin on track and, cause further incidents. But I'm expecting this race will actually be quite a tough one for the drivers, but also I think the drivers will be happy to see the back of and get it over and done with. They see contact in the pits already. That's very, very odd. Who was that driving?
I'm not quite sure. Let's have a quick look.
Someone got flipped already. I was just on board with Dave Gallo, and the cars right in front of him went sat on their lid already.
Not what you want. Not what you want so early on in the session, of course.
Must be very taxing already.
It must be. I've just realised I've loaded into the session and I haven't actually loaded up the custom cameras for this track either. We've got a couple of drivers out there rocking along with us here with their cameras, with who I believe is Keegan Caldwell. I believe it's Keegan who's got his camera on for us with his VR and just showing it off for us, as well as Greggy Johnston. A little bit of low res for you from Greggy's camera out there, and then of course Cowie, the regular camera that we have every single week, but for whatever reason his camera is kind of misshaped at the moment. He's obviously just sent us a bit of a square one, so it's unfortunate, but we'll keep an eye on how all three of them go throughout this session here tonight, as you are on board with Cowie at the moment here, Hutto, who has been having some rig issues the last week or so and has hoped to have finally found a fix for them.
Yeah, I guess Cowie's recently converted to that motion rig, and he's finding out the hard way, unfortunately, where that motion rig picks up on any little discrepancy or like a sensor's not really firing on all fours, and unfortunately it's for him it's kind of bringing an end to his racing experience. But yeah, hopefully he's sorted all that out. He can have a fantastic race tonight and put it all together and make his way up that AM leaderboard.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how he does in attempting to make his way up the field here this evening and to actually put in a proper challenge for this race here tonight. I mean, he did so well in the F1 Shadow Series in between seasons at Belle Isle. Finally had a race run where he hadn't actually caught or gotten involved in an incident per se. So he's done incredibly well to do that and to get himself sorted as well. Just quickly here, whilst qualifying just starts, I'm just going to quickly apply these custom cameras because otherwise it is going to give me a bit of grief if I don't. So we'll quickly just bring up what would normally be our change of server thumbnail just to get these loaded up. But Hutto, I mean, we haven't been here since last year. Did you race in the last race that we were actually at this circuit?
I did, and back then it was an absolute handful as well. So back then we were racing the Dallara F3, as we only moved over to the Super Formula Light at Season 2. But if my memory serves me well, it was a sprint race back then, and it was fireworks from start to finish. There was some good hard racing, there were some big spills along the back straight, some deep moves on that back straight as well. Looked to see a lot of moves to be made down that back straight, people just getting the toe, and as we know, since transferring over to the Super Formula Light, the toe can be quite overpowered for these cars. So look, that's another good passing opportunity before going into that very technical, I guess, the double right-hander, then the bend back on itself to go left hand on the left-hand side into that triple right-hander. So look, as much as I, like yourself, not a huge fan of actually driving this track, I think it's going to be very, very exciting racing.
I think it should. We got a couple of chats out there already. Phil Vella's joined us here tonight. It's a great track, a lot of different lines. He's also shouting out that Cowie has such a nice one. He's also said, where are the stats, boys? Who cleaned up the F3 at COTA? I'm going to assume it's Phil Vella, but you know, we don't want to have to release all of our stats out of the basket all at once, Phil. We want to try and savor them and sprinkle them all throughout the show. We don't want to just offload them so early. There's all this box of stuffs gaming's out there with us too. Carnage already. Let's do it. We're going to be getting into some awesome racing very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, as qualifying is underway. Tony Baker has set the pace very early on here with a 159.3. Hasn't managed, though, to match what Doug Gowans has just done, a 157.77. We noticed in practice there was a little bit of discrepancy with the lap times here, Hutto, and I do think that this is not going to be such a close qualifying across the whole field. We'll get little chunks that's really close, but the whole field, I think, could be spread out across maybe even 3 or 4 or even 5 seconds from P1 all the way down to around about, I think it's P35 for the amount of drivers we have here tonight.
Oh, I agree, Hamish. And look, we had a quick look at the practice times, and P1, I think Dylan DeBono was quickest in practice with a 154, correct me not. Only a handful of drivers in the 55s and then straight into the 56s and down to 57s, but this is where your teammates really have to come through for you, and if you're trying to put that driver like further up the field, and just making the most of that toe. Like, this is where that strategy and that team play really needs to come in. So it'd be interesting to see which teams clock on quick enough and can, use this 15 minutes of qualifying to actually better themselves over their opponents.
Well, it appears that Doug Gowans has managed to get himself a lap in all on his lonesome. Hasn't had to use his VSL teammate in Dylan DeBono, who's in behind him at this stage, but it looks like maybe they're setting up for Doug to give Dylan a bit of a tow around for the next lap. Maybe Doug will pull this up slightly through the double right and just get Dylan right on the back of him for the majority of the next lap.
Yeah, and we saw, I guess, Carlins. They do the team qualifying very, very well. You'll see them go out and about and be right behind each other for most of qualifying until one of them takes a spill. And the only unfortunate thing about tonight, Hamish, is this is almost a 2-minute lap. And it probably takes, one to maybe almost 1.5 laps for the tyres to be really firing to really get that grip. So if you bomb out in qualifying or you make a mistake and you have to go back to pits, that really hampers your qualifying chances.
It does, and I mean it's similar to qualifying at Bathurst or even at Silverstone where we had the AOWN. If you can't maximise on your laps while you're out on track and under green, the longer that this session goes on, the tougher it's going to be for you to set yourself up to set a quick lap time. Me and Cowie spoke about it at length previously of if you have a mistake in qualifying, you need to tow back, especially on these longer circuits. It really hurts you, especially if you haven't gotten the exact prime time lap time that you're hoping for. Or if you're just not quite up to pace of where you should be. And that can be a big struggle. So, it's going to be a challenge tonight. I actually do think that if you've qualified in the mid-pack, you need to be driving around here with fingers crossed, or fingers and toes crossed, maybe with a little bit of a prayer before the race, because we could see some absolute carnage around here in the mid-pack. Very, very easy. We could see a driver maybe go for a little bit too much space early on in this race, especially through the first two sectors, and all hell could break loose. So if you're in the mid-pack, hope and pray the drivers keep it clean. If you're at the front or you're at the back, well, the front, you should be pretty safe. The back, you should be pretty safe by proxy of just kind of holding back and just approaching corners with hesitation, as there may be an incident that's occurred right on the or right around the corner that you're coming up to.
Yeah, and I think now we've touched on carnage, Hamish, we must have to talk about safety cars, right? So how many safety cars do you think we'll have tonight, Hamish?
I think... You know what? I'm going to go big or go home here. I'm going to go 3 safety cars, Hutto.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm at the opposite end, Hamish. I think we'll just have the one. I think it'll be early on, and then that'll sort the pack down, and they'll be able to get away racing. So, yeah, fingers crossed for a not too dramatic, but in saying that, for our viewers at home, I'm sure they wouldn't mind seeing the odd bingle and stack along the way. But we'll guess what happens in the next 7 minutes, then we'll go racing.
Well, that's right, mate. And there are quite a few drivers yet to set a lap time here. In fact, there are currently 9 drivers yet to set a lap time. Nick Schmalenberg, Jason Depp, Keegan Colwell, Matt Tesseriero, Jordan Ferguson, Brett Wassel on debut, Danny Davidson, Dan Bartish, Pete Ziedler, all yet to set lap times in this session. Currently P1 on the road is Dylan DeBono with Darren Fahey and Doug Gowans in the top 3. For the Pro-Ams, it is Nathan Verney to Shane Ratcliffe and then Matt Keane. For the amateurs, it is Tony Baker, Dean Singovich and Andrew Cowan at this moment in time. As Matt Tesseriero has just set a lap time, he's gone P18 on the road, P5 in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, good little time there for Matt Tesseriero. I guess, probably just settling in, maybe not too familiar with this track, but I have no doubt his pace last season was outstanding, and he was up, there and abouts, I think, last week as well. So I imagine he'll probably... one of those drivers that'll actually get better as the race goes on, Hamish.
I'm just looking at Brett Wassel's car, and the side of this car, from a distance, it looks like a Power Rangers livery, I'm not going to lie, but I don't know if it is.
And funnily enough, instead I've got Nathan Verney. I wonder if they're cousins or
maybe.
Close mates or something like that. Who knows?
Maybe they're just close friends. We'll have to wait for an onboard for a car that's around him to see what is on the side pod of this car. I don't think it is a Power Ranger livery, but it's very, very similar to that logo. But yeah, there's still now 8 drivers who haven't set times. I mean, Schmalenberg's yet to set one. Not running the JWM colours this week here, Hutto, it seems. Is he awaiting a new livery, or has he maybe just stepped on to a new prospect?
No, I think both boys are still here at JWM, but I actually had issues with Tim's paint just before, so yeah, perhaps look at refreshing, or he may have done something in the background and, you know, opted for a new lick of paint, but no, the JWM stable still going strong with the Schmallen Bombers.
Very good, as Keegan Caldwell finally sets a lap time in qualifying, leading Jordan Ferguson around the track now. So Keegan finally gets a time under his belt, moves up to P3 in class, P22 on the road now. Ferguson just at the time. Actually, he's not following him around. Which VRT car was just following him? Was it Johnny Rowe? No. Maybe it was Sheafy. I think it might have been, yeah, it was Sheafy. So towing Sheafy around, and in fact actually went faster than him. So how would you feel if you're Sheafy right now and that happened?
You'd be yeah, a little bit miffed, but that's going to be one thing this season, Hamish. There's, what, 6 VRT drivers out on track. It's going to be quite hard to distinguish who's who, as we've just found out. So I wonder if there's any little change of colour of wheels, or like any sort of thing we can differentiate the drivers with.
They've got little on the edges of the wings and stuff like that. They have got personal colours on them. I just thought, because Jordan actually set a time, that was him who was in behind Keegan, if I'm honest with you. So, I mean, I don't know. Their last livery was pretty easy to recognise them, because you could see their shark fin a little bit easier, which was a different colour. Which these shark fins are a different colour too. I just think it's wrong camera angle and maybe a bit of blindness from me. Greggy Johnston, he's currently P30 on the road, rocking the camera, rocking the car. The number 61 here for TGR and Red Energy Racing as well. Of course, racing for Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. So good that Greggy's out there giving support to a good cause. We mentioned that Keegan Caldwell's out there as well, Hutto. So he's rocking around in his VR, and well, he'll be hoping to have a nice clean race tonight. But if he's racing VR with some of the crashes that he's had, how has he not scrambled his brain at this point?
I for one, I cannot do VR. It's not for me. But to those guys that do VR, I guess they do come across some, common impracticalities when using VR. Like, you got to know where your mouse is, or if you need to grab another control or something like that. I imagine a few guys that have like button boxes set up, or little hotkeys here and there. But imagine if you had a pet. I guess this is why you close your door when you race. But imagine if you had a pet jump on your lap halfway through your race, you'd be... Yeah, I'd have to check your undies after that one.
If you had a cat, for example, and you're running bare leg like Keegan is, and all of a sudden they want to claw at your leg. Oh my God! Oh, that would not be very nice. Phil in the chat saying typing to respond to people is impossible. It would be. I mean, you just wouldn't be able to do it. We saw him before when he stopped the car. He pulled the headset off, looked at his screens. Look at him. He's trying to reach around to find what he needs right now. You'd almost need your rig set up for whatever car you drive the most, so then you know where the buttons are just by looking inside the car. Like if you ran a GT car, you'd have your button box pretty much in the same position where it is inside the GT car.
Because I think boss man Steven Sinkovic, he drives VR, and there's several times we'll be in a chat or he's driving, he's fishing for something that's not directly in front of him because he's got the set of blinkers on. But yeah, quite amusing.
I reckon that's maybe what causes him to spin so much for Sinker, is that he has the VR on, maybe. Phil Veller is also saying it's so immersive, but once you do open setups, it is such a pain in the bum, according to Mr. Veller. We've got a couple of debutants out there, Hutto, with only a minute left in the session. Giuliano Sinise, P3 at the moment overall, so showing his pace early. Brett Wassell yet to set a lap time out there in what we can only describe as a base gradient in Photoshop for his livery. But yeah, it looks like he's struggling, but Giuliano is not just yet.
Yeah, I've heard whispers of Giuliano as well, another strong performer joining the league. Possibly, this could be his breakout moment here at SRW. Wouldn't be the first time they've won on a driver has won on debut either, Hamish.
No, it wouldn't. I believe that
Danny Davidson, I think, was our last.
Which is the Hungara ring last season. So.
Yeah, and I think before them, now we're going way back in the record books. It'd probably be maybe Mr. Phil Vella, and then before them possibly Matty Jones, I think. And then obviously when the SRW League opened up, I think Corey McFarlane, possibly got that one, or was it Stephen McCartan, one of the two. But
okay.
yeah, a few debutant winners out there, and perhaps Giuliano Sinise will actually be one of those drivers to join those ranks.
So it has now been confirmed for Brett Wassel. It's No Love Apparel is the sponsor on the side of that car.
There you go.
Saw it on one of the TV cams when he was up close and personal. At the moment, timing is done and dusted here. The 15 minutes is up. Dylan De Bono is our provisional P1 on the road. Danny Davidson has put himself in provisional P2. Giuliano Sinise is not out on track to try and challenge the front row of the grid. Darren Fahey, though, is at this stage in time, but he's not setting the world alight. Who is setting the world alight, though? Matty Keane, who's on a purple sector in the second and a personal best in the third. So this could get him well inside the top 10 here, Hutto, and well up P1 for the Pro-Ams here in qualifying.
Yeah, it's good to see newcomers like really, I guess, spreading their elbows and mixing with the rest of the team. Does he improve? Not quite, which is unfortunate for Matty. But yeah, it's good to see new drivers hitting the scene and mixing with the best of them. And yeah, let's fingers crossed Matty has a good race as well.
See how he does. He must have copped an off track possibly earlier in the lap. Dougie Gowan's unable to improve as well. Ben Brook is still out there for Frog Leap Juice Racing. Can he improve and get himself further up towards the pros at the front end of the field? One driver I'm a little bit disappointed in this week, Hutto, is the pro who debuted last week, Miguel Crespo.
Yeah, I've just checked the timing tower, and he's sitting down in P29, unfortunately, at the moment. Possibly just one of those tracks that he's not quite gelling with. So we'll keep an eye on him, and I think last week he managed to make a fair few places back, but he just might be one of those drivers that's not the best at qualifying, perhaps, but it's more of a, it'll let it come to him during the race.
Well, he'll have to hope that he can get everything perfectly aligned in this race. We've had Tyson McAvoy and Callan Hodgkinson join late in the session as well, so they will now unable to get a time in here in qualifying, as Miguel Crespo, I don't think he's going to be able to finish this lap off, Hutto, as he'd already crossed the line, as the same Greggy Johnston is, so they will get eventually once they fix themselves up here at the end of qualifying. I'm going to quickly ask you though, Hutto. Do you think De Bono can go 2 in a row?
From what I've seen so far, yes. If he can get out the front, stay out the front, and he'd be praying for no safety cars, I think he'll have no trouble bringing it home. But in saying that, Danny Davison's a very determined driver, and new man on the scene, Giuliano. Dylan could actually have his hands full tonight.
He very well could. I mean, not even just Davison and Sinise, but Faye, Gallo, Davis, Donahoe, Byrne, they're all going to be challenging in this race. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as what De Bono had last week out at Road Atlanta. Yeah, and I think he could be up for a bit of a challenge here tonight. Yeah,
and just quite to my amusement, top 11 drivers, all with a D in their name. Dylan, Danny, not Giuliano, Darren, David, Doug, not Adrian, Davis, Donahoe, Daniel, Dan.
Oh, hang on, Adrian has a D in his name.
Oh, yes, I stand corrected.
Yep, so they all have vowels in their name.
But yeah, I guess we're just listening to race control. Just go through the pre-race announcement before we bring up the timings and the grid positions, and Hamish will take us away very soon.
Yeah, we will. Phil saying one of the mics has a bit of static. Could quite possibly be mine, Phil. It does struggle with that from time to time, but it's the better quality sounding mic that I have out of the two, so we just stick it out with this one and deal with the static as it comes. But starting grid for tonight's race will be as follows. Dylan De Bono will start pole position ahead of Danny Davidson on the front row of the grid. Giuliano Sinise will start in P3 on debut ahead of Darren Fahey on the second row of the grid. David Gallo, Doug Gowans will start on the third with Adrian Loretti and Jamie Davis on the fourth row, with Tom Donahoe and Daniel Byrne making up an all-pro top 10 here in qualifying. Dan Bartish returns to the field alongside Matt Keane for the top 2 qualifying positions for the Pro-Am. As they move back to Shane Ratcliffe, Pete Ziedler for P13 and 14. Ben Brooks, Scott Pocock makes up the top 16. Nathan Verdi, Matty Gerard, Andrew Rushworth and Jason Depp will make up the top 20, with Jay Dixon, Sam Catakazinis, Andrew Cowan and Tony Baker making up the top 24 in the session. Matt Tesseriero, Keegan Colwell will line up alongside each other with Tyler Sheaf, Timothy Schmalenberg, Miguel Crespo, Dean Sinkovich making up the top 30, Greg Johnson, Jordan Ferguson, Nick Schmalenberg, Kevin Wakefield, Johnny Rowe will make up the top 35 cars on the road, with Tyson McAvoy, Brett Wassell and Callan Hodgkinson unable to set times in this qualifying session. They will start at the back end of the field. Greg Barber, Adam Hughes and Greg Leake, our race controllers here this evening. But it's a massive grid, Hutto, around quite a sizable circuit. Oh, we could be on for some fireworks this evening.
Yeah, huge turnout tonight. But I guess that this track really does lend itself to having a larger field. Like, it's a 2-minute lap, near a 2-minute lap, and yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of battles within classes. So just quickly look at the timing tower, Hamish. Like, the top 10 are all pros, and then we step down to P11 where we see all but 2 drivers were pro-ams, and then as we settle back to P23 is where we start our amateurs, and they go all the way back down to P35. So 3 solid chunks there of classes.
Well, lights are going to go up. We're going to go racing here for 60 minutes around COTA for the F1 Shadow Series and round 2 of season 4 of the Coolabah Super Formula Championship. Dougie Gowans has bogged it down off the start and is dropping places immediately here, Hutto, as we come through turn 1 for the first time. Do they survive the run through? It's a slow run through, but they look to have gotten to relatively cleanly.
Yeah, a lot of runoff there at turn 1, and most drivers seem to have got through unscathed. But look, cold tyres in this quick S section now. I'm looking for some smoke in the background. And 1 driver's off, 2 drivers off.
Oh, it's a big moment down at the S's. Jason Depp's off the circuit. I'm trying to grab him here. Where is he? There he is in the wall.
And Shane Ratcliffe's in the wall. That's big tyre damage there.
Big damage.
Yeah, Ratcliffe can't go right hand down. There we go.
Yeah.
A few early requested tows.
This could be an early safety car as DeBono leads them round onto the back straight. So we're already getting a little bit of fire here tonight for the race out at Circuit of the Americas, as we're waiting to see if the safety car is going to come out on track or not. Appears to still be stationary at the moment. Hutto. Ratcliffe's been allowed to tow. Depp, though, has tried to keep it going. We'll see if he ends up needing a tow as well.
Yeah, I think both drivers have been allowed to tow now, so yeah, I guess resuming our racing, and we'll wait for another time for a possible safety car.
So Pete Ziedler on the bottom screen, P10 on the road at the moment, in behind Thomas Donohoe, as Dylan DeBono leads this round up towards the final set of corners here at Circuit of the Americas. Davison and Giuliano right on the back of him here. Gowans had an absolutely horrid start, Hutto, in this race. Bogged it down completely. Already down 5 spots in this race and outside the top 10.
Yeah, definitely not one of the best starts we've seen from Doug. Probably one of the worst starts we've seen from Doug, unfortunately. But look, very uncharacteristic like from Doug. So be interesting if post race if he gets into the comp box later on this race. Yeah, see what happened there.
So Johnny Rowe and Greg Johnson have just had to come into pit lane as well. They've had a moment together. I'm just going to quickly have a look at what happened on lap 1 between Shane Ratcliffe and Jason Depp and down at the S's, because it appears that they've actually had a coming together. So as they ran through, Depp tried to take a little bit too much road. That was why Ratcliffe was up, and also Depp as well. So a little bit too much sauce on that one for Jason Depp, it seems, through that corner.
Just a check up.
Yeah. Wasn't quite ready for Ratcliffe to come over on him. Unfortunately, I think the onus there has to go towards Depp. And then Greggy Johnston's also had a moment as well, down through the double right. Now he had Johnny Rowe up ahead of him. So what's happened here between them? So he wasn't ready for Rowe to check up, and that's what's then caused him to collide into the back of him. There is a heap of movers in the mid-pack. Pete Ziedler's had an off-track.
Just watching the drivers go down that back straight. That tow tonight is hugely advantageous for the drivers. Like, I think I just saw Benjamin Brook go from probably P18 up to P16 very, very quickly there. So, look, drivers need to really, I guess, start planning their attacks and, like, I guess, the first couple of laps. And big crash in the inset. So Benjamin Brook and Matthew Gerard. Oh, bit of nose rear contact there, or just hitting tyres and. See if Matty Gerard ended up in the wall there. No, he's going again, but can't see any damage on that car. But yeah,
I think I know what the problem is actually. I think I know what's wrong with the JWM cars. No, I know what it is. It's the car decals. So we're going to fix that and get those fixed up. Get our timing tower up and running as well. So this will be drivers who didn't actually race in the Australian, who raced in the Australian Open World Nationals but didn't race last week. So that'll be why they've got mucked up liveries at the moment. So for no lights.
And Hamish, we can see already, like, we're only 4 minutes into the racing, and I think. Oh, Sheafy's requesting a tow. Let's just jump on board with him. Oh, he's in the fence. Let's get back to the
How has that happened to Sheafy?
I think he's gone skidding across, so I'll go back and see if we can find that. Greg Johnson's also crashed. No, possibly, or has he just parked it for a bit?
Was there contact there, or did Sheafy just hit the curb wrong?
Unsure, but maybe we've got another angle on that one. But safety car has been called.
Wow, he did it all on his lonesome, and it's kicked me out of the session. That is fantastic. Wow. We'll quickly reload and we'll be back into the session, ladies and gentlemen.
Good time for a safety car. Hey, Hamish.
Yeah, good old iRacing just boot me out at the wrong time. It's a perfect time for a safety car, Hutto. I'll be honest with you. Tell them to keep it going for like an extra lap.
Yeah.
What we'll do is, though, just to make this a little bit easier, we will at least still show the second screen.
There we go.
So then at least we have some on-track action.
Something for the viewers.
Exactly.
The drivers are just checking up on the main straight. Who's that that's coming to pits? It's Jamie Davis who's coming to pits. Possibly taking a little bit of fuel, possibly a little bit of damage. Benjamin Brooks also into the pits just now.
He's it could be a very, very smart play from him, I'll be honest. I mean, this is a great
quite a handful
little opportunity.
Of cars. McAvoy, Cowan, who else is in there? Ferguson, Pocock, Sinkovich, Wakefield. A lot of drivers taking the early option to go get a little bit more fuel. Let's just jump on board and see if... yeah, a lot of action here in the pits.
60 minutes, that's right, Phil. 60 minutes tonight. The good old iRacing updates. Oh, we love it. Absolutely love it. But, I mean, already tonight we've seen multiple moments happening through the S's, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of expected it through that section. It's a very difficult section. There's obviously the sausage curbs, which have caught out a couple of drivers, and this may not be the first safety car we see tonight, thanks to those snags on the side of the road.
And I think we'll see a lot more incidents in that exact same place, Hamish. Like, there's more drivers on track, so there's more chances for an incident just like that. Unfortunately, Sheafy was just, I guess, just a little bit careless, hit that curb and spat him out and put him straight into the wall. So drivers will have to be cognizant of how they approach that section of the track, Hamish.
Yeah, they will. They'll have to be a little bit cautious, just take it easy, but there needs to be the gentleman's agreement not to push too hard through there when they are making an attempt to pass through that section. So we're just getting reloaded back into the session. We'll get the main screen back up and running very, very momentarily for you, ladies and gentlemen, as well. So we're at 90% sim load at the moment, so it's we're nearly there.
And I guess this safety car probably a good thing for the pack. I noticed, like, just after. I think it was just on the completion of the third lap, the field had really started to stretch out across the track, Hamish. And I guess our front runners of De Bono, Davison, and Tsenese, they would have been laughing, or probably not laughing at the time the safety car was called, but at least this gives the entire field something, just a little bit of reprieve. Or like, it'll be interesting to see also how these drivers who have already pitted, how that pans out for them. So the tank tonight should last them about 25 minutes as per usual. They're running a 50% fuel tank limit, which is 23 litres. So for 25 minutes, that gets them roughly 13 laps safely before they have to pit. So yeah, taking that early pit stop now, what are they, 9 minutes into the race. So look, having taken that little splash and dash, they've probably got a free pit stop out of it. And they may only have to pit one more time, whereas all the other drivers that have already stayed out will have to pit possibly 1 to 2 more times, all depending on the safety cars, Hamish. But in saying that, COTA is such a long lap that the drivers might be able to afford to, I guess, forego that second stop completely if there's enough safety cars, because being a 2-minute lap around the track, and I think they're just coming down the final parts of the track now. In the
they're
inset,
coming into the final corner, so...
Yeah, and it's taken them almost 4 minutes just to get around. So, if what, a couple more... Well, they really need to be under safety car for a full 5 laps to really reap the benefits and negate that
Which is like
pit
20
stop.
minutes. That's like 20 minutes of the race gone. It's a whole stint.
Exactly, but... Look, they're going around for a lap number 2. I think time's just ticked over for at the 10-minute mark. So, well, I imagine they'll probably go green next lap, like it's a long lap. So, hopefully they return to racing very, very soon. Otherwise, it could be us making, making a bit of fluff in between they going green again.
I don't think there's going to be... I don't think there'll be more than this lap under safety car now. They may have given us an extra lap to give me the reprieve to load back into the session, but... I don't think there'd be another lap now. I mean, they've got waiver rounds done. No one else really needs to be put out there at this stage. So I think, bring the safety car in this lap, go green again, just see what happens, and maybe just give them a bit of a word and say, hey, take it easy through the S's.
And I just noticed again, McAvoy in the pits again, Cowan's in the pits again, and Jason Depp is in the pits once again. So maybe those drivers are just, taking every little inch of fuel as they can, and hopefully set them up for a shorter pit stop, towards the end of the race. And I've just got confirmation over the radio that this safety car will be in at the end of this lap, so we will be going green very soon, Hamish.
Yeah, I mean... I rate it. I rate the choice to come in, do an extra stop at this point. I mean, what are you losing? You're not losing much. You're not losing much actual track positioning. You're just giving up time to a field that you're going to catch anyway before they go green, and you're going to make it back up anyway that you may have lost over this pit stop in the next stop anyhow. So it's a smart play from them. You might as well come in, take another stop, put another little splash of fuel in the car. You wouldn't take tyres. I mean, you probably shouldn't need tyres in this race anyway. So, it's a good roll of the dice. We'll see if it pays off.
Well, Jamie Davis is the highest placed driver who's already been into the pits. And he pitted back when the safety car was called on lap 3. So, and he's only dropped down to P13 out of all this. So, he might be one to watch as the cars cycle through their pit strategies and whatever else. See how he fares out of all this.
Could be a phenomenal roll of the dice for Mr. Davis in this one as well. So, I mean, I think already this has been a little bit of a challenge for these drivers, just kind of getting into their groove, getting into their rhythm. It's a track that you can struggle to get a rhythm going for yourself inside the cockpit, Hutto. So, I think unless you're at the front, if you're in that mid-pack, we could really start to see some drivers struggling more towards the end of this race. Maybe it's fresh out of a pit stop. If they decide to put tyres on or not. So that's really where we could see some proper chaos come when they do actually start to get a little bit more fatigued, and it's harder to get back in that rhythm when you are so fatigued at the end of a race.
Yeah, and I guess the safety car's probably come at the wrong time for the drivers to have a rest. We've only just started getting racing. They probably needed that safety car about midway through the race. But look, we've still got 45 minutes of racing. Anything can happen. And safety car is now in pit lane.
So De Bono will have control of the field over Danny Davidson.
Early.
He has gone early. I mean, he got the call that safety car was in pit lane. He's welcome to go green once he decides to, and he's caught out Davison and Giuliano Sinise napping a little bit here off the restart as we get across the line and run up the hill towards turn number 1 as De Bono leads to Davison Sinise for the top 3, Faye Gallo for the top 5. And then we have Loretti, Byrne, Ziedler, Gowans and Donahoe for the top 10.
Yeah, I guess a fantastic jump by De Bono there. Like, he's already out to almost a 1 second lead, and as we see former teammates Loretti and Byrne almost going side by side through that Esser section just now.
Yeah, they're still going.
Like you said, Hamish, this Esser section is going to be a handful for like a huge handful for a lot of drivers. I guess a lot of drivers are going to have to tiptoe, and we've already seen like the sector, like the drivers separate out over the track. Like there's I'm just trying to think of the gap. There's a 12-second gap between on screen Matt Tesseriero 21st to Dylan and P1. At 12 seconds, 13 seconds already, and we're only halfway through that lap. So I think we're going to see development of possibly a few pockets of battles eventually, Hamish, but still have to keep an eye out on those battles, or the battles down the back straight, Hamish, for a few passing opportunities for drivers.
Well, we just saw that Fahey managed to get it done down the inside of Giuliano Sinise as they go side by side through the double right-hander. Still side by side now for the next couple of lefts. They're not willing to give this up just yet. Is Giuliano Sinise on Darren Fahey here for P3. But the triple right is where we could see it get caught out for Giuliano. But he's trying to hang it round the outside of Fahey at the moment. He's not quite close enough to send it up the inside of the left-hander, though. Backs down of it very, very smartly for that point of the race. Should just sit right behind Fahey now and put the assault on him at the end of the back straight, I reckon, Hutto.
And that was good driving by both drivers there. Look, Faye was hugging the inside, and he just would have been like having to really feather that throttle as he got around that triple right hander, and Sinise would have been trying not to wash himself out around the outside as he looks up the outside of T1. Faye covers brilliantly, but now Sinise juddles back to the left-hand side, getting nice and big in Faye's mirrors.
Well, he's really letting him know that he's right there, Hutto, and he's putting all the pressure on him as they come through the S's. Smartly, as there's contact in the background. That was Pete Ziedler off the track. Where has he gone?
That's exactly where Sheafy went off as well.
He's jumped to pits. He's pit without permission, so that will be a drive-through penalty for him, and if he doesn't continue the race, it'll be a rear-of-grid start for round 3 for Pete Ziedler, unfortunately, so unless he found the door to the Shadow Realm somehow, which I don't think he did.
Yeah, just check in with Sam Katakazinos with a healthy little battle in front of us with Dan Bartush, Nathan Verney and Jay Dixon. Here we go down the back straight. Should see a nice little draft battle. Dixon in the box seat right now.
And can he get this done on Nathan Verney up the inside? Sinise's now gotten back past Dixon's DFR counterpart of Darren Fahey at the end of the straight. And Verney here is trying to put all sorts of pressure on Matt Keane, but Dixon, he's not battling for any class positions at the moment. These are just for the overalls. He's got those 2 cars ahead of him between him and Jamie Davis at the moment.
And I think Dixon will be able to just, slowly pick off driver by driver. He's a smart driver. He'll just, slowly make his way up, pick his moment, make the pass, take the position, and work on getting to the next driver. So I have no hesitation Jay will actually, or I think he'll probably end up towards the top 10. He's already made up 8 spots already, Hamish. Fantastic drive.
Speaking of big movers, Brett Wassell is currently up 16 spots after not getting a qualifying time in. He has only been on the gain in this race, but he is under pressure right now from Ben Brook into the final corner side by side. Brook gets the job done this time by, but now it's going to be a drag race up towards turn number 1. Which one of them is going to crack first? They are wheel to wheel here, up towards the braking zone. We know you can hang it around the outside up here and get the over-under done, but Pocock's going to make it hard for him as he slots his car on the inside line. Has to back out of it on exit. Wassell has to slot back in behind Brook. Brook's gotten that move done in a beautiful little display between all 3 drivers.
Yeah, good little battle there. As we see Smokehead, who's that? That's got around on the left-hand side. Is going again. Keegan Caldwell just taking a wee spin there.
Not
But
good for
yeah,
Keegan.
fantastic driving, and I guess Scotty Pocock was just waiting in the wings, waiting for those two drivers to, I guess, touch wheels and make a mess of that pass. But no, good driving by all three drivers all round.
This is what happened to Caldwell. You can track how he's doing on the other screen already. So he came through the S's. Oh, he did a sheaf. He caught the sausage curb and bang, straight round. He went. Very lucky for Rushworth not to hit him on that run through there. Very, very lucky indeed, as Caldwell had to try and get it back going again and slotted in behind that other battle. So he looks on ahead to continue his run forward. Greggy Johnston at the moment, all on his lonesome it seems here, Hutto. And just, I mean, what a mustache. What a mustache on this man. I mean, he is just... He's a man's man, isn't he, is Greg Johnston?
Yeah, and he races for a good causes too. You know, the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. Greggy always representing that foundation week in, week out. He's one of those drivers that's got a little soft spot in my heart. He turns up, he tries his hardest, doesn't always get the result that he likes, but look, he puts in, he gets the points, and he's always within like the top four of his class. So yeah, fantastic racing, Greggy.
I've just noticed as well, Jason Depp actually had himself a moment. I think it was only a minor spin though, as he has gotten going once again. But so has Andrew Rushworth, it seems. Where has he gone? He's gone off the exit of the final corner and just rejoins onto the main straight. As Jamie Davis is now at a moment at turn 1 as well. So it is going off at this point in time here, Hutto. Very lucky Davis didn't get collected there by Schmalenberg in behind him. I mean, what is happening with some of these drivers? They are just struggling around here.
It could be. I wonder if it's a lack of concentration, or if they're battling to like retain those positions with the draft being so overpowered, or it could be a matter of track temperature as well, Hamish. Like we could be seeing the tyres just starting to degrade quite early, and if those that haven't taken fuel, I've been told it's quite a handful when these cars get a lot lighter, especially on this track with the undulation. So a few drivers probably getting caught out going up that hill and then having to jump on the anchors and turn left into turn 1.
Well, the track temp at the moment is 38 degrees, Hutto, so it is scorching out there on the tarmac. So these drivers and their tyres, how long can they survive? As Fahey's gone round as well at the end of the back straight. My. So... you mentioned we might only have one safety car tonight, Hutto. I think the fact that we have a hot track and these tyres are degrading so quickly could undo you here in this point in time, as Davis had another minor spin, gets going once again. But, I mean, where do we look? Because it's happening everywhere at the moment.
It's almost sounding like we said earlier. It's going to be a survival of the fittest, but we might have to keep an eye out and see if anyone actually takes tyres tonight, because we've seen it before at Catalunya many moons ago. It was a warm track, and that left-hand tyre just cops an absolute flogging at Catalunya, and several drivers actually opting to come in and change their sets of boots. So we might see the same thing happen tonight, Hamish, here at Circuit of the Americas.
Well, remember, Aragon, Phil Vella didn't qualify, changed tyres midway through the race, and he had the grip advantage at the end of the race, managed to get him up towards the podium. So I honestly think if you're pitting, say you're pitting around the halfway point of this race, I reckon you take tyres, honestly, because yes, you're giving up a little bit of time on track, but the grip advantage that you're going to have, the tyre degradation advantage that you're going to have, is going to be massive out there, as Miguel Crespo has just had a moment, but he's kept it going once again ahead of the battle between Caldwell, Wassell and Pocock. So there are these little minor spins that are happening here, little lapses in concentration, Hutto. But I don't just think it's the tyres. I don't just think it's the lapse in concentration. I actually think that it is the drivers. And Phil Vella said that this track is super rear dependent. I think a lot of drivers, maybe you're just actually taking some of these corners wrong with how you need to approach them.
And I guess the proof will be in the pudding later on in the results, Hamish, of those that have put in the hard yards and practice, and those who have just taken a more casual approach. Oh, as Pocock goes in deep, gets that pass done though on Brett Wassell. I think it's going to shine through those who have actually made the effort tonight to, learn the track and get a feel for the track on this quite a warm surface. Oh, gee, that was close enough to be. Fantastic driving by the other three following drivers as well there, Hamish, like avoiding action.
Yeah, Ferguson not doing his best holding brakes impression there through the end of the S's. Nearly collected multiple drivers in that point in time. Brett Wassell, latest Pro-Am in the field here tonight Doing a fairly good job out there, Hutto. He's up 17 spots, P22 on the road.
Oh,
As
we
I
just put
say
the
that,
knocker on
he's
him.
just spun it round. That's not a commentator's curse. That's a skill issue from Brett Wassell.
Unfortunate there, but yeah, fantastic job on his debut. Still up 13 spots now there with the wee excursion off to the side, but yeah. I guess Hamish.
And just quickly, Hutto, car number 169, drive through penalty, avoidable contact on lap 8. So that is going the way of... who is that going the way of?
Matthew Gerard, I
Matthew
believe.
Gerard, yes, that must have been the moment through the triple right.
Avoidable contact. Yes, that's right. He took a...
Yeah.
Interesting one. Yes.
Interesting. Now, I haven't seen a penalty pop up yet for Jason Depp and Shane Ratcliffe that happened on that one. So whether no one's called it in just yet, or they haven't gotten around to a ruling on it, possibly. Unsure. As Johnny Rose had another moment further back through the field, so he is really struggling out there on this circuit. What has happened to him at the back straight?
Has he just gone in too hot?
It looks like he's... Oh, no, his car's broken. His front wheel's already... So he's actually... He previously had an off track earlier in the lap.
Well, Johnny Depp's now into pit, as you can see on our timing screen, with 25 minutes down. Unfortunately, he'll probably need another safety car to get him through to to the end there now.
So the car was already broken at this point. So I've had to go back quite far here. Oh, I reckon it was here that he did it, because the car looks pretty straight and narrow. What is that? Looks like a wheel failure.
Oh, I've just heard request a tow.
I would assume it's from him. I mean, he's been struggling to get it back to pit lane. What has happened to Johnny Rowe here? Oh, it looks like he's steering stuck, possibly.
Yeah, possibly some hardware issues, Hamish. Unfortunate end for Johnny Rowe. It's not what you want to see, but I think he's been allowed to... sorry, just listening to race control. I think Johnny Rowe's been allowed to tow to get off the track and, let the race continue. But, Jesus, quieting down. Like, all of a sudden, the drivers have started to settle into their rhythm and, get into the race. Who are our big movers and shakers tonight, Hamish?
Well, the biggest mover at the moment is now Tyson McAvoy, who's up 19 spots. Now, if you recall, he pitted twice under that first safety car period. So he has actually got the fuel advantage at the moment, but he's also got the track position advantage over a couple of other drivers out there.
Safety car has been called, Hamish. Safety car has been called.
Oh, and I reckon it might be because, possibly, of Greggy Johnston, who's had a moment. This is at the final corner. Oh, no, it's just an off track. So, did they... Oh, has Johnny Rowe had another crash, or was this him pulling it up?
I think he possibly went through, got into the pit, got whatever he needed fixed, and... Because look at that front right, that's wobbling and shaking everywhere, Hamish.
Yeah, so that was what we saw. Yeah, that was before.
That's what we saw. Yeah, that's what we saw earlier. So I think he's been able to get into pit.
Oh no, I think it's Jordan Ferguson. Because I can see his timing dropping at the moment. So it was Ferguson through the S's. Again, he did it twice in a row, 2 laps in a row, and that's what's put him into the wall.
Yeah, that's going to be early drinks for Ferguson, perhaps. But now the leaders are coming into the pits as well, Hamish. So I wonder if we'll see who are our early pitters. Jamie Davis. See where he fares coming of all this.
I reckon if you're Davis, you come in. You come in, you take tyres, you do some fuel. Why not? Free pit stop.
It's just unfortunate, I guess, for Davis that the safety cars come at a time now, because this actually benefits the entire field. It's almost made a level playing field. So, who's our track leader at the moment?
Donahoe.
Goes top.
So he's actually stayed out. Unsure if he pitted under the first safety car, as I lost the timing data from that.
He did not. He did not pit under the first safety car. So he's going to catch the back of the safety car through this S's section just now. And he's going to be stuck behind.
Does he maybe go for a nose stop?
You can't. The tank only lasts 25 minutes, Hamish. And okay, we had, let's say a 6-minute absence or 8-minute absence of racing, and that still chews up a tiny amount of fuel. And we're going to get another, 5-minute break here as well. But I don't think that's enough to circumvent a whole pit stop at this late or this time in the race. Like, he's going to have to come to for fuel in the next 5 or 10 minutes. If not, I think he might have been gambling to actually possibly pass the safety car and then, pit now, or get a clean run and then pit and kind of catch the field that way. But yeah, a strange decision there by Donohoe, perhaps just unaware, don't know, or maybe just go for a gamble. Who knows, Hamish?
Oh, it's a wild gamble at that. It's 101 to 1. I just quickly put up the thumbnail because remember iRacing actually crashed. It cancelled me setting up the custom cameras before Hutto, so I was actually waiting for another safety car so I could do it without interrupting the stream too much. So at this stage, though, it is currently Thomas Donohoe who leads the race, but he does need a pit stop to get home. Dylan DeBono, Danny Davidson, Giuliano Sinise, Jamie Davis make up the top 5. David Gallo, Daniel Byrne, Adrian Loretti, Darren Fahey, and Dougie Gowans makes up the top 10. Importantly, Tyson McAvoy, where is he on track? I believe he's actually coming again, Hutto.
Geez, that's probably his 4th pit stop now, I think.
That's his 3rd.
For 3rd. So perhaps, finding the reintroduction to the open wheel is a bit more challenging than what he'd first thought.
I think he's just basing this on the fact of, if I pit now, can I get home?
Well, that's true. Like I said just before, this safety car has essentially just neutralised the field. It's taken away any advantage or disadvantage, really, that anyone may have had. The people that really get disadvantaged was, I guess, those who took that first safety car pit stop. Like, yes, they might have had a shorter pit stop just now and maybe achieved, a place or two, but the pack was that far apart that it really kind of negated that strategy anyway. So I think those who gambled and took that first pit stop, it really hasn't played out from Hamish.
Well, one thing we haven't actually mentioned this season, I think this track's a perfect opportunity, we haven't mentioned in a long time, is what sort of tracks suit the undercut strategy. And I've found through my time in broadcasting, and even in racing as well, normally I find the undercut strategy works best when the lap length is around about 1.5 minutes or less. Some circuits for 1:45, if it's high paced, you can do it. Anything at around 2 minutes, so your Spas, your COTAs, your Bathurst, your Silverstone, it's hard to get an undercut done. You can get it done depending on how the traffic pans out for yourself and your competitors, but it's hard to do it, especially with the field so spread out as it has been tonight. Unless the whole field is compact and someone's stuck in lap traffic, it's very, very hard to do an undercut around here just because of the length of the lap, the length of the pit lane, and also just like whether you come out in clean air and how hard you can actually push on those cold tyres.
And I guess for an undercut or an overcut to really work, you've got to have green flag conditions, Hamish. Like having a safety car, it stops any sort of momentum that any driver had.
McAvoy's in again. I suppose if we look at it now, so we have less than half an hour to go. He's coming again. He's putting in another lap's worth of fuel. Depending on how long we're under safety car and how much he can save, he could get home.
I guess, yeah, with 28 minutes worth of racing left over, tank's going to last 25. It might be a gamble that might just pay off for Tyson. That's if it's green flag conditions to the end. For those that have already pitted, there's actually a few drivers that are just exiting the pits as well, in Jason Depp and Greg Johnson. For those that have pitted just the lap before, they might be holding their breath and really relying on possibly another safety car to get home, Hamish.
I think the problem now is, so they can't get home with another safety car because they would still need, because it's come out now, they would still probably need actually 2 more safety cars to save enough fuel to get home. Another safety car would help them in their pit stop. One more safety car would help them with their pit stop for sure, because they get the free pit stop. It's a slower run around the circuit for a lot of drivers. But I think doing the math, it doesn't really play off too well for them because
I think the drivers that have just pitted just now, like McAvoy, Depp, and Johnston, are really going to benefit from taking that last little splash of fuel.
Yeah.
The drivers that have pitted one lap beforehand on lap 12.
Yeah, lap 12.
Probably they might be coughing on fumes to get home.
And that's what I'm thinking. So DeBono, Davidson, Sinise. I mean, 27 minutes of fuel per my calculations, but it's going to be tight regardless I believe that's Boxed Off Gaming.
And before I was kind of just writing Donahoe off, and now we've looked at the times and, crunched a few numbers. Donahoe might be on for a master strategy here. He's put himself way out in front of the field. He's guiding the field around the track now. He needs to pit, we know that, but he's going to come right inside that pit window. And yes, it will put him further back in the pack, and he's going to have to negate the traffic trying to get back towards the front. But if he pits, or if he needs to pit and everyone else needs to pit, he might have just pulled off a strategy that we didn't see coming at all, Hamish.
Quite possibly, but he could not take tyres on that strategy either, Hutto. He would have to stay on his tyres to not give up too much time in the pit lane either.
Well, interesting. See how it plays out, because the safety car should be close to being in pit entry as we stay on board with Donahoe, ready for the race resumption.
Yeah, we're not too far away from green flag. Adam Hughes in the chat, RC team is goated tonight. I hope Hamish sees this. It's only goated, Hughesy, when you rock up late to the RC booth. That's only when it's goated. When you're on time, it's not. As we come round the second to last corner, Donahoe has already gone green. So he went around about the same time that DeBono did off the last safety car restart. As we come up the main straight here, Hutto, we rocket up towards turn one, but Donahoe is going to be under massive pressure right now from a fueled up Dylan DeBono in P2 at the moment, who may make mincemeat of him if he can get the move done nice and early.
Well, he's looking to get his nose up the inside there at turn one, and he does it easy, Hamish. How seamless did that look?
It wasn't even just his nut inside. He just slotted himself through the door. He Sparta kicked his way through there. DeBono's taking the lead back from Thomas Donahoe as they come through the S's once again. This has been the danger zone of the night thus far. Multiple incidents have occurred. It's caused both safety cars throughout the race from self-spins, ironically both from VRT cars tonight, Sheafy and Ferguson having their moments through that corner, and that's what's caused our safety cars here. But DeBono leads the way. Donahoe's in P2. Danny Davidson P3 with Giuliano Sinise P4, but it will be corrected P3 once Donahoe comes into pit lane for his next stop in this race.
Yeah, I guess DeBono made that look easy, and I think that's probably part on Donahoe and the fact that he doesn't have a fueled up car, and like Bella pointed out in the chat section before, that having a full gassed up car on this track actually makes it much more stable through that SS section. And I was just on board with Sinise just before through that SS section in fact, and you could really see the back end of Donahoe like really slipping and kind of going wide as compared to the two drivers, DeBono and Davison, who were either side of him, in which Davison has now gone past Donahoe and moved into P2.
Oh, Brett Wassell's had a moment in the background here with Schmalenberg down at the end of, believe, the double left. So what has occurred to Brett Wassell? He was on for an immense, and the only way to describe it, immense debut race here tonight, Hutto. This was down the end of the back straight. He was in behind Cowie. What's happened? He slotted up the inside. Oh, he's just compression locked and lost the rear end. So unfortunate there for Brett Wassell. He now drops a heap of spots as the battles are continuing up the front end of the field, as Donahoe's now lost a spot to Giuliano Sinise. So this strategy may not be paying off too perfectly for Donahoe here.
Well, perhaps this is not Donahoe's best circuit or one that he feels too comfortable with. So taking that positional advantage in the safety car period probably elevates him several positions. Like you take it when you can, right, Hamish?
That's right. You take it when you can. Take the track position when you can. I mean, if we were offering an extra point for leading a lap, he would have gotten one, but unfortunately we aren't, as Andrew Cowan's had a moment in the background. He's gone off track, but I believe he might be still going. No, he's in the wall, and that car is broken, and this could be our third safety car of the night here, Hutto. It's happened at the same spot as Sheafy and Ferguson earlier in the race.
Petrus S's tonight, hey Hamish, and there we go. We've just heard the all clear for car 991 to tow back to pit, so there will not be a safety car, unfortunately for you, Hamish.
Fair enough. I'm just waiting for that third safety car to have the prediction correct at the moment, Hutto. But we still have 22 minutes to go, so a lot of time an opportunity for us to get another safety car out on track as DeBono leads to Davison and Sinise. Donahoe and Davis now makes up the top 5. He's in a battle with Gallo in behind P1 on the road. As McAvoy's had a moment in the background, he's off the circuit at the end of the back straight. What has happened to Tyson McAvoy and possibly Kevin Wakefield as well?
Yeah, we see a few drivers are starting to tumble down the order. Nick Schmalenberg caught up in that mess as well. He's possibly just on a self-spin, I think, but he's off to the side and he'll get going again. Oh no, there's damage on that front left tyre for Schmalenberg.
Donahoe and Davis are in pit lane.
Oh, who's that just requested today? Someone who's out on the track stranded, I think.
It's Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe has requested the tow here. He's parked up, if I can get a good camera angle of it, right on the wall. Could this be another safety car? As Baker now has a moment as well. It is going off tonight here, Hutto, as I believe Gowans also had a crash. What is happening?
I think this track's really proving a handful. I think it's probably a combination of a lighter car, safety car has been called. There's number 3, Hamish.
Wow, and that's the moment with Ratcliffe and Schmalenberg.
Bang.
Jeez. I want to get the onboard of Schmalenberg there because that was absolutely wild. We saw him explode off the wall, so that was, I believe, Wakefield ahead of him. Oh, he's just come across a bit of net code. And, oh, my God. That is huge. And this was Gowans having a moment. This was up at turn 1, so I reckon he's actually been caught out by Baker. And Brooke, possibly. Oh, no, he had his own little self-spin off the track. And then you'll see this was how Tony Baker did it up there as well with Brooke. So I agree with you. I actually think that the emptier tank, the lighter rear in this car is forcing these drivers to struggle tonight because we're getting a lot of these rearward spins.
Yeah, definitely interesting. But what are we noticing? We're noticing that the pros aren't having as many incidents as the rest of the pack, and I think that's starting to show through with the skill level there. Hamish, like a lot of these simple spins and these like little compression locks and whatever else. It's the guys that are in the Pro-Am and the Am class that are really getting caught out. Like we saw 2 VRT guys put it into the fence in the S's. Cowie again put it into the fence. Just a lot of drivers being caught out by either going a little bit too wide and probably just the weight of the car being a little bit more less forgiving, shall I say, Hamish?
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. Like maybe it's the setup. Maybe it's the setup with the lighter fuel tank that's been the issue for these drivers as well. I mean, what specific setup are they using this week, Hutto?
They're using the iRacing COTA setup. So yeah, whatever the iRacing setup is for that one, I think it probably lends itself to a more medium downforce. Actually, being such a well, I guess you'd want the high downforce for those nice tight S parts, but you'd be hitting almost a brick wall if you tried to pull out and pass another car on those straights.
That's probably why they're running. That's probably why they're running a medium downforce just to get best of both worlds. It's a really tough circuit to set up for. Because it's a little bit like Road America in the fact of it's almost 2 track. You get some really tight is having an absolute spaz. You get some really tight technical sections, but you also then have those massive long straights where you need low wing just to try and get past another car at some spots.
Yeah, like we just touched on, some very long straights, some really tight technical areas that really load up the downforce of the car. So, look, I imagine like for those F1 teams and anyone else that actually races at COTA in real life or those who use the open setups, it'd be a real handful trying to find that nice balance between having a car that really grips to the ground or something that's a bullet in a straight line. I know which one I'd definitely take, Hamish.
Yeah, I think I think around here it depends on what type of race you're having as well, Hutto. I think if it's more of a sprint style race, I'd rather have the pace down the straight. It was more of I'd much rather be more comfortable in in those sort of tighter areas and give up a little bit of straight line speed just so I can survive as long as possible. So, yeah, it's a real balancing act. I mean, you can run those medium downforce sets, but then you do risk rear of the car not being as good through the tighter sections. It's a real challenge. It's a real challenge to get that balancing act correct around here. And I think that's one of the bigger challenges to setting up a car for this track. And I do think an endurance race around here would actually be quite interesting in how drivers approach and teams approach racing at this circuit.
So, Hamish, whilst we've got a bit of time, who's been the standout performer for you, or performers, in each of the classes over these first 2 rounds?
First 2.
So I think Tony Baker was a bit of a surprise packet last week.
Yeah,
he did very well in the sprint. Didn't quite have that performance in the feature race. And he's currently in P30.
Well, he did have that spin. He did have that spin tonight. I think, relatively speaking, his pace has actually been quite good. And I'm not going to take this one poor race and last week's one really good race to as biblical of, which one's his season going to be. I do think he has been impressive early on. I think Brett Wassel was quite impressive earlier tonight before he made his mistake. At the moment, though, I mean, I'm impressed by Dylan De Bono for having such a strong start so far, but also Giuliano Sinise on debut. I'm very impressed by him. We had 2 new pros coming this season, Miguel Crespo and Giuliano Sinise. If we're going to make ourselves a little narrative rivalry between the two, I think Sinise's up one at the moment on him. I know Miguel had a good race last week, but Sinise wasn't here. So this week, but they're both on track, Sinise's proving he's the better driver at the moment.
Yeah, I think Sinise is doing very well on his debut. He's came in, he's making his mark straight away. He's saying, I'm here to race and I'm here to win. And he's up against a very determined Dylan De Bono. And I think this season is the season that De Bono has just said, I am winning this one, no matter what happens. I think he's just a very determined driver, and he's going to go out and win this one quite comfortably. As we've seen, a very prominent performance.
You've backpedaled on your prediction last week.
Yes. Well, just seeing the 2 results already, he was clinical last week and won them both with ease. All race today, he's been at the front and led, other than when Donahoe was leading. But De Bono has just been there, and it only took him the space of the main straight to get back into P1. So I'm expecting a very dominant season by De Bono. I think just the level of determination he's bringing will just, he's probably now my hot favourite for the championship.
So I'd point out that I predicted him to win the championship last week when we made our way too early predictions. To anyone else that may have missed it last week. Chris Smalling out there makes tyre warming questionable when you want them to cool. It really does out here as well. But Phil's agreeing with us. He reckons Dylan's looking dominant. There is always a little thing in the back of your mind, though, this little gnat that chews at your brain that says, is he going to make a mistake and ruin it for himself? But I don't know. He's looking, even when he's looked his best, I mean, we think back to season 1 of this year where he was arguably looking his best he has ever looked. He's looking now better than he was for all of season 1.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just in these two races that we've seen, and not a great deal of racing's been had here today, but he's just looking in impressive form. It's really hard to not pick him as the favourite for this season, Hamish. He's looking the goods. I think he's just really trying to bury those demons of seasons past, and he's just a very determined driver.
Even the way he carried himself last week in his post-race interview as well, it was like talking to a different Dylan De Bono. And there's been a lot of scenarios over this past year in SRW and outside of SRW where I've spoken to drivers who have previously been very questionable on track with some of their on-track choices, and I've been very vocal about it when I've called the races, and I've called them out for it too. But at some point, they have just turned themselves around, and you have to give them their flowers when they do, because they look determined and they race like a completely different person. Best example I can give you, Hutto, Steve Lanyon in the Vets last season won the most races. He didn't win the championship because he lost it out in the final round. He had a poor race. John Gallen ended up winning. But I still believe, no offense to John Gallen, I still believe Steve Lanyon deserved it last season. He raced immense, and it was a complete 180 to how he had previously raced in that exact same split. De Bono right now is giving me the same levels of anticipation for how his season could go. As we get green once again, here in this race. 12 minutes to go, Hutto. And De Bono is trying to lead them up towards turn 1. Once again with Davison hot on his heels. If anyone out there, I think, right now who could really challenge our predictions, it could be the privateer, Danny Davidson, who's still not been picked up by a team, mind you. Still races for himself at the front of the field. And he is pushing on forward as a modern-day Michael Cuttajar.
Took the words out of my mouth. Michael Cuttajar, another one of those fantastic drivers we've seen here at SRW, who's who's that in the fence?
Another VRT car. It's Jason Depp.
I tell you what, Hamish, these VRT guys, I don't know if they're trying to take the spotlight and get their sponsors a bit of airtime tonight, but
he had Matt Gerard on his inside.
Too wide in the S's. Very interesting. Interesting place to put your nose on that one. We'll let race control, pick apart that one. But yeah, Davison is definitely one to watch. We saw him kind of hit the scene last season or the season before. I think he got a breakout win in.
He had Hungaroring. He won Hungaroring. He won at Portimao as well. No, he didn't. De Bono dominated at Portimao. Last season, whatever it was, Davison took multiple wins last season, looked very, very strong. You know how they often say history repeats itself, Hutto? You recall who Michael Cuttajar's rival was last year?
It would have been Phil Vella. Are you talking about season 3 last season?
No,
last year, sorry.
Just in general, last year, big rivalry that was on screen majority of the time was Phil Vella and Michael Cuttajar.
Phil Vella and Michael Cuttajar. Like, the two can't be separated. They're the two. Are you saying...
Right now, I'm getting the same... Yeah, I'm getting the same vibes from De Bono and Davidson. And off the back of that, the DFR parallel is Gallo and Byrne of Dixon and Vella, who race together, both very dominant. One of them's been more dominant than the other this year, which is Gallo, who was Vella last season. But De Bono's also a bit like Vella as well. Car double 6-3, drive-through penalty, unsafe rejoin, lap 16. That is going the way of Nick Schmalenberg off of his contact with Shane Ratcliffe in the final sector, Hutto, that we saw earlier. So he must have popped into another car, maybe made it a little bit hard for them to make their way around. But yeah, there's so many parallels with a lot of drivers to the end of last year to now this point in time as well. We could go into 2024 with more parallels of... Is De Bono like Gallo next season in season 1?
Well, I think we're seeing, just like this series is seeing the emergence of a lot of little rivalries on track. So not so much like 10 drivers competing for the one championship. Like, we're seeing a lot of drivers kind of joined at the hip. Like, we've talked about Callum and Callan. We've talked about Cuttajar and Vella. I think now we're seeing De Bono and Davison as well. Funnily enough, even though they're teammates, Gallo and Byrne, always there and abouts next to each other, and a fantastic pairing. As we look back down the field, there's several more we could recall, but we're just starting to see these little rivalries of who's the driver that you want to beat, or who's the marker. And I think we'll see as the series goes on, we'll see more and more of that, and that's where the team play, I think, will really have an impact to try and get that driver who's stuck on another driver, just to give them that little bit of an advantage.
So car 231 as well, Hutto's been given a 30-second stop hold for contact under the safety car. That's Brett Wassell, unfortunately for him on his debut. So he'll be having to come in the pits. That'll be race done and dusted for him pretty much at this point in time. We've got 8 minutes to go in this race. Dylan De Bono leads the way and looks to finish this round as the only race winner in season 4 of 2024. You'd have to tick back the clock to most likely last year, when we've gone the first 2 rounds across 3 races, where there's only been 1 winner across the first 3 races of the season. This has not happened for quite a fair while. The last few seasons, we've had 3 different winners in the first 3 races of the season. So this is absolutely wild stuff to see. And I mean, you talk about those rivalries, Hutto. I mean, not just the Gallo and Byrne inter-team rivalry. Their rivalry is Jamie Davis has gone round, and he is now P21 on the road, now P23. So he's dropped a heap of spots off that mistake. I reckon that the Carlins rivalry is actually Carlins versus Pace Syndicate. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the Pace Syndicate boys with us this season, but through season 1, or through season 2 into season 3, it was really Carlins and Pace Syndicate together. Season 2 and 3, De Bono was just kind of there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Look, it'd be fantastic to have the Pace Syndicate guys in the league with us again, but look, for every Pace Syndicate or Carlins or whatever, there's another team like stepping up, because everyone out there is improving. Like, there's just week in, week out, we're seeing the drivers getting better, and I think that's probably one thing we've seen or noticed since transitioning from the Dallara F3 is that it's really condensed the field. It hasn't there's so much made like certain drivers substantially better. The gap definitely hasn't won. It's been more of a level playing field, but now we're starting to see, 6 months on since the introduction of these cars, that drivers are really starting to get their their teeth into the car and getting the best out of the car and getting those performances out on track, Hamish.
I'm just going to say, I mean, I was campaigning ever since the end of season 4 last year for us to swap cars. I campaigned for season 1 for the Super Formula for the SF23. That was shot down. Once the SF24 came out and I explained, well, this is literally just a modern day F3. And we swapped to it. I mean, we've gone levels above, haven't we? We've just gone levels above ever since swapping over to this new car. Mad respect to the old F3, but I think 2024, from season 2 to season 4, we've arguably actually had the best racing we've ever had all throughout the whole field, not just at the top end, but from the top end to the middle to the bottom. We've had some exceptional racing. Yes, there's been mistakes made by drivers. Yes, there's been little moments that have happened of controversy or chaos, but the racing's been absolutely epic ever since the introduction of this car. And I think next year, we're going to have the best year for the SFL/F3s we've ever seen, Hutto, honestly. And just based on on-track action that we could have with some of the quality of drivers that we're having and how much more comfortable they're getting in these cars, the longer they race them, the better they're going to get.
Absolutely. And I guess that puts it all in good stead for the Australian Open Wheel Championships at the end of the season, Hamish.
Well, I mean, that's another thing that could really spice things up towards the end of the season. And I'm sure the more often that those events sort of happen, the more little inter-club rivalries we're going to be getting in between drivers from within their own league, but also cross-league as well. Like De Bono and Vela, will they have a rivalry form throughout if they continue to have moments together during the AOWN? I think Mark Gomes and I think it was Scotty Barton had contact in that last race as well. It's all these little moving pieces of where we could see little interleague rivalries starting to form. I mean, at the moment, we've got 4 minutes to go. De Bono leads. He leads now by quite a significant gap, about 6.6 of a second. So if he makes a mistake, Davison's going to take advantage, but he's not under massive pressure. What do you think, though, Hutto, has been the biggest rivalry of Pro class this year, the biggest rivalry of Pro-Am class this year, the biggest rivalry of Am class this year? Now, you can also take into consideration some people have moved up a class, so their class rivalry could have happened in a lower class earlier in the year. I think personally for me, for amateurs, it was definitely Ross Anita and Tesseriero, who ironically are now teammates.
I'd also add Noble to that one as well.
Yeah, I think
those
Noble,
three drivers were on par, and I think Schmalenberg getting promoted the season before, had he been in amateurs last season, that 4-horse race would have been incredible, Hamish.
Yep, 100%. I totally agree with you on that one. I think Pro-Ams is a little bit harder to dictate for this year, but I think it's probably Sheafy and maybe Katakazinas, maybe Gerard. I mean, they didn't really battle on track with each other. Brooke and Sheafy took it all the way for the championship, but I can't really think of a bigger Pro-Am rivalry amongst two Pro-Ams on track that we've actually had in 2024.
I think that, it hasn't been like an out-and-out rivalry, I think, because whenever we're looking at the top of, who's the rivals, it's always the victor that's been promoted. So we've seen Brooke be promoted, we've seen Katakazinos be promoted, and I think the bridesmaid time after time, unfortunately, has been Callan Hodgkinson. He's kind of been that benchmark of he normally comes, I think, second or third, and just not getting that, not getting the chocolates sort of thing. But yeah, there's no real rivalry that stands out. But if there is going to be a rivalry created, I think this season, it's going to be VRT versus the world.
I agree. I agree.
They've got a handful of drivers, and I'd definitely like to see, tongue in cheek, but where it's VRT definitely versus the rest of the Pro-Am field.
I agree with you on that. I think that could end up being our best rivalry of the year for the Pro-Ams. For the pros, I mean, we can't really look past De Bono versus Davison versus Gallo. You could chop that down to De Bono versus Gallo, or De Bono versus Gallo versus Pace Syndicate, but all in all, pro class has always somewhat been revolved around this year De Bono and David Gallo, and then an extra on the side as well.
We must be close to white flag, Hamish.
We are, mate. We are. So I believe if this lap is not white flag, it will be the next lap when we come across the line. Car 664 has been given a black and white flag, a warning for weaving on the straight. That is going the way of Timothy Schmalenberg, so he needs to be a little bit careful and stop being such a naughty boy. Just calm himself down a little bit as we come into the final sector of this circuit. De Bono still leads the way, 60 seconds left on the clock. Can he make the line before the flag gets waved, or is this going to be the checkered flag when he comes up the main straight of this circuit of the Americas? He's got Danny Davidson, 0.65 off the back of him at the moment. Sinise, he's about a second back, or nearly 2 seconds back in P3. What a debut he's had thus far tonight. Then Gallo and Byrne making up the top 5. 30 seconds left. De Bono's going to make the line before the flag. So it'll be white flag when we cross the line this time by Hutto. We'll get one more lap for De Bono to possibly make a mistake, and for Davison, it was a big wiggle, a big wiggle. So could the pressure be getting to him at the moment?
Well, that's the thing. Now that interval's really come down to 0.3. So Davis will be licking his lips, just hoping De Bono unfortunately does what he does at worst and has a wee mistake at the absolute depth of the race.
That has allowed Davison to clock right onto the back of De Bono's car. 0.3 of a second now is the gap between the leader and P2 on the road at the moment. De Bono hoping to take a third win of the season here in only 2 rounds thus far. It'll be an immense effort if he can get this done to be starting his championship on a perfect run this season if he can pull this off. He's currently got fastest lap of the race as well, so he'd get the extra points for that. And if he could take maximum points tonight, Hutto, after starting on pole, well, you could not ask for a better start to the season across the first 2 rounds.
Well, he took maximum points last week, 185 plus the fastest lap. I think he's got the fastest lap thus far for this race as well, Hamish. So probably on for another double, Hamish.
Davison trying to find a pathway up the inside at the end of the back straight, not quite close enough to shoot the half and get alongside De Bono as they come through the next couple of corners before the final sector. This is where De Bono needs to get the car seated. He cannot afford a mistake through here. Under brakes now for the double apex left-hander before the long triple right. This is where we've seen a couple of moments tonight, Hutto, but he's been keeping it clean through this corner the whole way through as they rocket down towards the final couple of corners. Can De Bono hold on in P1? He's spread the gap a little bit up towards the final corner for him now. Can he hold him off through the final run up towards the start-finish line? De Bono's going to get there, and he's going to take his 3rd win of the season in 2 rounds. And a massive win for VSL and a massive win for De Bono. Davison comes home P2. Giuliano Sinise P3 on debut, with Matty Keane coming round the final corner now to cross the line. P1 for the Pro-Am, his first Pro-Am win of the year. Caldwell back up the top for the amateurs as well in P13.
What a race, Hamish. I guess after a bit of a slow start and a few pauses throughout the race, it kind of really developed and opened up for, a smaller sprint race at the end there, Hamish.
It was a phenomenal race, Hutto. An absolutely incredible one tonight. And at the moment, I'm looking like perfect predictions because I've predicted the 3 safety cars tonight. I predicted that De Bono would win the championship last week. Is season 4 the season that I just don't put a foot wrong?
Don't count your eggs until they hatch, Hamish. But look, De Bono is looking a very determined and dominant driver so far. Look, we haven't seen performances like this since the days of, say, Vela and Cutter Joe, where there's been like a level above like the rest of the pro field. And I think, yeah, De Bono's come out swinging this season, and yeah, it should be, I guess, a very exciting championship.
He has found another gear, it seems, has Dylan De Bono. I want to make a real-world comparison here. Now, I'm not going to say he's driving like Michael Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton, because their levels of dominance was just ridiculous. But I'm going to cross-category make a comparison here. He's really given me vibes of Marcus Ambrose in 2003 and 2004. Like, he is just looking
just
like...
hitting the scene.
Yep, exactly right. Hitting the scene, hitting his marks perfectly week in and week out, and looking like no one can stop him at the moment. He is trying to slide this thing, doing his best to try and slide it through some of these corners. But, I mean, what a race, Hutto. What a race. I've got a headache after that race, I'll be honest with you, because that was intense as ever. And, I mean, just what a run home we got off the back of that.
Yeah, and I'm glad it did open up some, I guess, yeah, some tighter racing, because there was moments there where it looked like it was almost not going to be a snore fest, but the pack was really starting to open up and the strategy was getting sucked out of the race. But, you know, how that last, that third safety car turned it into a sprint race, and it was on for young and old.
It really was. It was, you know, it was put a blanket over them. You could not separate them at that point in the race. Once we got restarted after the safety cars, I think the safety cars actually did save the race a little bit in terms of keeping the battles close and keeping the intensity up for us as well. But, I mean, what a run home for Dylan De Bono and for Caldwell as well. P1 in the AMs, P1 in the pros for De Bono, P1 for Keane. I mean, what a race we've just had, Hutto. What a start to the season we've had thus far as well. De Bono is now going to spread out his championship lead over his competitors. And he's on for a perfect run right now. I mean, we've never seen anyone win every single race in the championship, and I'm not going to claim that he's going to, because I'm a realist. I know that it's incredibly hard to win every single race, especially with sprint rounds and as highly contested races as we've had before. It's incredibly hard to do that. And the only person I think could ever do that is probably Phil Vella, but he is on another level.
It is. I actually think, had Vella been racing, De Bono would have been taking it to Vella this season. That's how good I think De Bono has improved. Like, just how much he's improved. He's just looking a level above the rest of the pack. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. I really hope De Bono can keep it together all season and bring home the championship. But look, tonight's display, along with last week, it's just been nothing short of clinical, Hamish.
Yeah, it has. I mean, he rocks up. He does incredibly quick times and just looks ahead to his next opportunity, which would be next week. So, I mean, it's unfortunate we don't have Phil out there to give a measuring stick to De Bono. But, I mean, season one, if both of them were to sign up, oh, what a race we could have on our hands.
Yes, I guess better turn our attentions to the interviews, Hamish.
This is true.
In the green room
We've got Mr. Matt.
Keane.
Yeah, Mr. Keane's in there. I see Giuliano's up in the lounge, so we might just chat to Matty first, and then if he stays in there for any long, yeah, there we go. So he's come and joined us down here. So we'll have a quick chat to Matty Keane first. We're still waiting on Keegan Caldwell as well, so might as well chat to our Pro-Am winner here tonight in Mr. Matty Keane. We'll drag him in. Mr. Keane, P1 on the road here tonight for SLM Motorsport and for the Pro-Am class. It was an exceptional performance for yourself out there, sir. I mean, how does it feel to get a class win and just survive what seemed to be a very chaotic mid-pack battle that was happening all throughout this race?
Thanks, Hamo. No, honestly, was more happy just to survive, to be honest. Coming back from some health issues, that's hard work doing that track up for an hour.
Yeah, I guess a tough slog out there, Matthew. I guess, yeah. How were the conditions? Like, what were you finding were the largest challenges out on track?
Largest challenges I found that just keeping the tyre temps down, because in the dirty air with the track temp up so much, the rear end, if you overheated those rears, it was near impossible to keep the car under you. So just backing off and picking my battles. I let a lot of the guys go towards the front in the pro class just because it wasn't worth overheating those rears until later on. And those last 3 laps, as you saw, I could play little games and have a proper race with some of the pro boys as well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, fantastic strategy there, Matthew. I guess, P1 tonight in the Pro-Am class, does it make amends for, I guess, results from last week?
A little bit. Still a bit down on myself from last week. I put myself in the bad situation in the second race. I saw the crash in front of me at turn 1, and that's one corner you don't lift on the apex, and adios amigo. So it was all on me. It was all my own fault last week. So this was a better recovery.
Yeah, good. And I guess, Matthew, what's your goal for this season, or do you have any goals for this season, inclusive of the Australian Open Wheel Nationals?
For myself, no, just getting back into the sim properly and getting my pace back. Like I've lost a lot of pace and had a fair bit of time off the sim from some health issues, so it's better just to get back in and work my way back up to it.
Well, Matty, it was a great performance from yourself here tonight to survive the tough task that was COTA for 60 minutes. You managed to come home as the best in the Pro-Am field out there. Let us know, helps get you and SLM Motorsport out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well? For myself and Hutto, congratulations on your P1 in the Pro-Ams here this evening.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Suitspeed. If you are looking for any sim apparel, they've got gloves, socks, nice t-shirts. It's the best sim apparel out there. Hopefully, they're looking into some jocks, so might get a bit comfier in the seat, but and just the SLM boys getting around me and getting me back in the sim. So thanks, guys.
Will those jocks come with pre-installed GT stripes?
It's got to separate the 3, so it's got to be comfy.
All right, mate. Thank you so much for coming over chat with us here tonight. Best of luck next week for Road America. We look forward to seeing how you go out on track.
Thanks, boys. Lovely work.
Thanks, mate. All right, Hutto. Now that we have Mr. Caldwell in there, we can have a chat to him. But what we can also do is we can actually have a chat to him with his camera on. So we can actually see him. Yeah, we can chat to him and see him moving. We did it with Mr. Warboys on Sunday night in the supercars as well. Quickly drag him in for a chat here. Mr. Caldwell, congratulations on your P1 in the amateurs here this evening. Mate, you had a couple of little spins, which, has become a little bit typical of your racing, but you did well to come back, keep fighting, and got yourself home in P1 for the AMs, and I believe P13 on the road overall, which is an exceptional performance.
Yeah, I was just talking to Bono, and that COTA is not a track that I'm enjoy. It's a track that I try and stay away from with the open wheels. Mainly, the only track I do is GTs and GTPs.
Yeah, right. I guess, yeah, fantastic performance tonight. Keegan seemed to, like I said, just I had a few little spills here and there, but kept it clean mostly. What was your goal for tonight? What was going through your head for most of the race?
Beat Troy Baker, really.
There we go. So I guess you've got a rival in the field, have you?
I was psyching myself up tonight to beat Rosanita. Last race we had a couple of, won't say come-togethers, but a real good back and forward tug. But yeah, I think Rosanita was my main competitor.
So Rosanita's the benchmark because he's up in Pro-Am now. So I guess the next target is if you keep aiming for Rosanita, you'll probably be towards the pointy end of the amateur championship. How much does that play on your mind? Is it more of you want to win, I guess, championships and series, or would you rather enjoy like the tussles and the battles out in the field?
Well, through season 2 and how well I went was multiple podiums and whatnot, I've psyched myself up to say I will win. I will try to win this series. I took season 3 off just to calm down and do more other racing, like road racing and that. Since I've come back, I've seen how well I've improved with double podium last week and, a win this week. but hopefully I can keep it up and keep going. More wins.
Yeah,
more podiums.
fantastic. I guess, and also let you know you're currently live on the stream with the webcam, so
I see.
very good. Yeah, over to you, Hamish.
Well, I've also just noticed as well. You've actually had a fit change as well in between the race and coming in for your interview too, because I noticed you had silver shorts on mid race and now a different shirt as well. So
the Daniel Ricciardo shirt.
oh yeah, hopefully your season doesn't end like Daniel's did, which is halfway through, but
I reckon it won't.
hopefully it doesn't, mate. And I mean, you've had a great run here tonight. A couple of little moments out there, but you are improving week in and week out. You come leaps and bounds in improvement compared to the end of last year, which is such a great thing to see. Let us know how to get you and Rapid iRacing out on circuit. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Hutto, congratulations on your win here tonight in the amateur class.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Hawkins Mechanical, Insight Graphics, and GeForce Simulators. Well, since last season, I've upgraded to SimMagic wheel base and a whatever it is, next level racing rig.
Well, mate, hopefully that's going to allow you to continue to take your racecraft and your abilities out on track to the next level as well. Best of luck next week for Road America. We look forward to seeing how you go. If we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Rightio, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
How good's that, Hamish? Like, a driver's come out and said, here's my benchmark, here's the driver I want to beat, and I'm determined to win. That's the sort of stuff we love to see in league racing.
100%, Hutto. We love to see drivers wanting to try and better themselves out on track, try and challenge themselves to get better out on track as well. So, we look forward to seeing how the rest of these drivers go throughout this season. But now we get to chat to a debutant who's finished on the podium in their very first race here in the SFLs, Mr. Giuliano Sinise. Nice. Giuliano, what a race for you on debut. I have now just structured up and fabricated a rivalry between you and Miguel Crespo, as you are two pro debutants this season. And for me, you're one up at the moment after getting a podium at COTA. How challenging was that to keep the car at the top end in the top three, but also try and stay in with Davison and De Bono at the front of the field?
Oh man, it was incredibly challenging. Those guys are seriously lightning quick, and I was literally just having this conversation actually while we were talking, and literally I was just about to say, like, the last two laps, my rear tires were fried, and I guess the three of us kind of have different driving styles, so I mean that's just natural. But like you could see, like through sector 1, like I think I was closing up between them, and then through sector 2 and 3, they would kind of edge out between the two of them. So it was more like a cat and mouse game, but yeah, they had more in the tank than I did in this race.
Yeah, congratulations, Giuliano, on the P3 today. I guess, being a debutant, welcome to the series. What expectations did you have of the Super Formula Light League here at SRW prior to racing?
Thank you for that. It was great, honestly. I had a lot of fun, to be honest. But expectations-wise, I don't know what I kind of expect. I mean, I kind of already know a couple of the drivers like Danny Davison and Dylan and stuff like that. So, because I raced with them in FRG with the Formula Racing group, so I kind of had even Darren Fahy, I think it was. So, and then Dougie Gowans as well with the last league I did. So I kind of knew a couple of the drivers, and Dougie brought me across, and he said you'd have a lot of fun. Tell you what, I did. I had a lot of fun. It was tough work, and I'm just cooling down right now. But it was really good. Really great race.
Yeah, good to hear. I guess, you're probably not the only driver that's been sweating out there for 60 minutes. Definitely looked like tough conditions. I guess, what were the hardest parts or sectors of the track, and were you mindful of where you placed your car in terms of setting yourself up for the next part of the track?
Oh, definitely. Sector 1, especially if we throw those S's, those curbs, they're a nightmare. They're a killer and a half. And we were literally, between Danny and Dylan, we were just discussing before, like, we were literally, we weren't going full blast through there because, any one slight mistake, and, we don't exactly want to finish off an hour race going into those curbs. And, it's a 50-50 whether you're continuing on the track or in the wall. So that was definitely one of the biggest challenges. But I'd say one of the hardest challenges actually of the track is the the left-hander heading into the back straight, because it's not exactly a 90-degree corner, and you have to really slow the car down, and then just get on the throttle as early as you can. That will give you a good momentum going down the back straight. I would say those two were the biggest challenges, and then maybe that second last left-hander, that fast left-hander, the car just either you're bogged down going in at gear 3, or you'd kind of understeer if you're in gear 4. So it was a tricky battle through that last corners. So those would be the tough ones, I think.
Yeah, and I guess like the three of you, like you said, DeBono, Davison, and yourself, kind of all stuck together throughout the whole race. There wasn't much separating you. Was it actually hard to try and make time, or like were you finding you were making or losing time in certain places? Because it kind of seemed like between the three of you, neither was making a mistake, and there was no real, I guess, gains or losses being made at all.
I think that just kind of came down to driving style. I think from the looks of it, while I was watching ahead of me, it looked like I was quicker in the S's and stuff. But then as soon as we got down to the back straight, I felt like maybe Danny was a little bit quicker, and then towards the back half, Dylan was quite a bit quicker, so he would make up most of his time through there. So it was kind of like maybe an even spread, but I guess those two had a little bit more pace. So towards the end, they were just edging out lap by lap. And if no one's making a mistake, then they're just gaining 1 or 2 tenths lap after lap. So the gap kind of blew out to, I think, 2 seconds towards the end.
Well, Giuliano, it was an incredible race for you here tonight. Does this sort of race now get you excited for the rest of this season? And, how often are we going to be able to see you out on track this season? Because already I think you could be our next first-time race winner this season. I mean, you are looking the business at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Look, should everything go well with work, then I should definitely be here every Wednesday night. But look, I don't want to place too much expectation on myself with a race winner, but I'm happy. I'm really happy with the podium, and I've got my friend John, who's my spotter, and he's done amazing work keeping my head level. So he's been amazing, and I guess this is not just a me thing. It's kind of both of us. So which is great, and I actually honestly want to thank everybody that drove today, because I actually really had a lot of fun, and all the guys are great. So it was a great race for all around.
Well, mate, that's what we absolutely love to hear as broadcasters and people who are involved in setting up this league as well. You may not put pressure on yourself. We're going to put pressure on you. You're going to watch this back and you're like, oh no, there's so much pressure now. But no, we're pressuring ourselves to try and get these predictions right. Please do not feel any pressure from us at all. But we'll only cry ourselves to sleep if our predictions are not correct this season. But
I think that'll be me if the next race does not go very well.
Just one of us, Hamish. Yeah.
You already backpedaled on your champion prediction, so your prediction's out the window now, Hutto. But Giuliano, let us know who helps get you out on track, mate. Anyone else wish to give a shout out to as well? For myself and Hutto, congratulations on your first podium here in SRW, and as well as just having a great race at COTA here tonight.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for all your hard work as well through the race. It's a blast when all this goes. It's a lot of hard work. I've been there and done that, so I know exactly all the work that goes through, and you guys are doing a great job. So no, thank you so much.
Well, mate, best of luck for Road America next week, and if we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Oh, we're getting absolute crackers tonight in terms of interviews, Hutto. Everyone's having fun.
I was just thinking that, like, even after a tough slog, 60 minutes at COTA, everyone's keen for a chat. So let's bring in the next person.
It's so good. As we'll catch up now with Danny Davidson, Mr. Davidson. Another race and another podium for you, sir. And I hope you don't mind, but if you're aware of the history of this league within SRW, we have now just named you the 2024 Michael Cuttajar, because you are just rocking it for the privateers at the front end of town. The difference between you and Cuttajar is, though, you actually show up for your interview, so we really, really appreciate it. Mate, how tough was it out there? Because a lot of drivers are struggling with the lower fuel load in the back of the car, causing a lot of spins, tyres degrading as well. But you're also trying to chase down and keep Dylan DeBono in your sights. What were some of the biggest challenges out there tonight for you as a front runner in this race?
Just the handling of the car was like terrible. So much understeer. It was just challenging to like manage the off tracks because it's hard to take so many corners without hitting an off track, and then with the limit and just the understeer and everything together was just very hard. Yeah, the car just didn't handle very good. That was the biggest issue.
Yeah, I guess it was a handful for all drivers we saw out there. There were several drivers spinning and hitting those sausage curves and whatever else and putting themselves into the wall. I guess with the cars going into the wall, how much of momentum did the safety cars play tonight? Was it a good breather for you, or did it kind of hamper your progress, or how was those periods for you?
It definitely helped my race. I mean, Dylan was a little bit quicker, a couple tenths quicker in pace, so they just brought me right back to him a couple of times and put me right behind him, and that's what allowed me to attack him at the last part. And it was a breather as well, because 1 hour race on this track, it's hard work. So yeah, definitely helped me, the safety cars. Yep.
Yeah, very good. And I guess we missed you last week at Road Atlanta. We proudly have you back here at COTA. I guess we're going to see more of the same thing up front. It'll be you and De Bono week in, week out, hopefully.
Yep, I'm going to try to make them every weekend. Every week I couldn't do it last week, but yeah, hopefully I can give him some good races and hopefully beat him in the next race. That's my goal. It's a lot of fun, but it's hard work. But yeah, that's what makes it fun. Competitive.
Well, I guess we saw that determination was at Monza last time in the wet. You said you were going to go out and win, and you went out and flogged the field. So another fantastic performance, Danny. Hamish, you got anything for our P2 place getter?
I think, Daddy, what's one thing you think maybe that you might need to improve upon this season if you want to try and get past Dylan? Because right now he's looking like the best version of himself that there's ever been out on track with us. And throughout the first 2 rounds, he's looked unbeatable, but you've given us as commentators a glimpse of, we'll say, hope for a different race winner. Not that we don't want Dylan to win, but what's one thing that you think maybe you need to try and improve upon, or something that you may need to adapt to just try and get one better than him maybe in the next couple of races?
I think the key to championships and all that is just consistency, finishing the races and not making mistakes. I think the pace is pretty decent. Probably have to just find a little bit more. Probably do a little bit more practice if I can. But I just try to keep it consistent. I think if I do consistent finishes, that's the key to beating everyone in a championship race, basically.
Well, mate, we so hope that you are able to implement that into your driving this season. You've had some wonderful performances across the last season and a bit. Another great performance for you tonight in P2. Let us know who helps get out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well. And for myself and Hutto, congratulations for P2 here tonight out at Circuit of the Americas.
Just a shout out to everybody behind the scenes running the league, and you guys for your great commentary every week. And yeah, that's about it. Look forward to next week.
Well, mate, we look forward to seeing how you go out at Road America. And if for whatever reason we don't get a chance to have a chat to you, best of luck for the season ahead.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
Take
mate.
it easy.
Yeah, Hamish, what a dream pairing it would be, the privateer collective of Davison and Cuttajar. Just think about it.
Do you reckon their team name should just be Privateer?
No, possibly. Possibly. Anyway, let's bring in our race winner.
Mr. Dylan De Bono, of course, taking home his 3rd race win of the season, his 2nd round win in a row. You're 3 from 3 at the moment, Dylan, and you've done so well so early, in fact. Hutto's backpedaled on his champion prediction to now claim that... Not out there, but Hutto's backpedaled on his prediction. He's now claiming that you're his championship prediction this season after I already made it last week and so was you, but... Mate, you're on a different level at the moment. The last 2 weeks, you have been racing just a step above. And I mentioned on the broadcast that season 1 was probably your best season you've had to date in terms of your consistency. Made a couple of mistakes, but you had some really, really good pace out there. But right now, you are just racing probably 3 or 4 steps above that level that you were in season 1. I mean, how is it feeling in the car, and how are you feeling at the moment after doing so well in these first 2 rounds?
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, feeling good. I've, like I said last week, I've implemented a new sort of driving style I've tried to use, and I feel like it's it's going well so far. This track was tough to race at. The track was so hot, and I just wanted to get myself home. I wasn't too fast if I didn't get the win. I just wanted to make sure I finished in a good spot because and like you said, I know how key it is to score good points every round.
Yeah, I guess congratulations, Dylan. That's 3 from 3 for you. We spoke to Davison just before in terms of safety cars. How much of an impact was that for you on your race tonight?
Yeah, obviously, like it breaks up a lot the race. Going into the event, I did a fair bit of long laps, and I knew how far the tyre would go away. So just before that first safety car, I was pretty well nursing the tyres a lot. I was probably about 1.5 seconds off my pace because I knew how much I had to save the tyre. And then we got hit with 3 safety cars, so it sort of took all that tyre management away, and I just drove it to the limit. Didn't want to go over it because, like Hamish always reminds me of Laguna Seca.
Yeah, just twist the knife just a little bit further.
I reckon if you win the championship, Dylan, you surely got to get a tattoo of the Laguna Seca track layout, just to remind you of where you come from and where you've gotten to now.
No, I can't think of that place anymore.
Just get a corkscrew tattoo.
Is that what you're twisting into his side every time you bring it up, Hamish?
100%, 100%, Hutto. We're bottle opening his bottle job at Laguna Seca, but it's a motivation. It's a motivation at this point. I mean, Dylan, you're driving at a different level. You're driving with a different style. I said it as well. Even in these interviews, this last week and now even this week as well, you're just presenting yourself as someone who it sounds like just a lot more confident, but you're confident in the changes that you're making, and you're confident in the decisions that you're making this season, which I love because it really shows to me that this is a different Dylan De Bono. It's a different season for you, and you're tackling this season differently, which I can so appreciate because it's paid off for drivers that I've seen in the past who have driven a lot more, we'll say, chaotic and questionable than you have previously. They've just made a lot more stupid decisions, but they've gone away and they've changed and they've come back and they've presented themselves in a very similar manner to what you are right now, and they've actually then gone on to be challengers for a championship. But now I think you're just going a step forward, and you're, for me, still you are the favourite for this title. And don't take that as a big head. Oh, I can win the championship because people say I can win the championship. I just think whatever you're doing right now is working perfectly for you, and I hope that you can just keep on hitting your marks and keep on running these sorts of races, because if you do, you are going to run away with this championship very, very quickly. And, I mean, if you can go 3 rounds from 3, I mean, you're off to a perfect start if you can do that next week at Road America.
Yeah, I think the last 3 seasons haven't worked out, so I thought to myself, I got to change something. And that's from big things to just the 1%ers, and at the end of the day, the 1%ers let me down throughout the last 3 seasons, and I just got to keep on staying on top of what I've been doing in the lead up to the events, and just keep on doing the small things right, because I think the field is so tight and so close. The 1%ers really count.
Mate, this self-reflection is absolutely amazing to hear from you, and the way you've gone through self-reflection to then move on to self-improvement is absolutely incredible. You've run an incredible race tonight, as you did last week as well at Road Atlanta. Let us know, helps get you and Velocity Sim Labs out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, and for myself and Hutto and the rest of the league, congratulations on your pro win here tonight and your 3rd race win of the season.
Yeah, big thanks to you guys. For all the support, Velocity Sim Labs, all the guys there. Countless hours have been put into this season. Here to Race YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out Velocity Sim Lab on Facebook.
Well, mate, thank you so much for coming over chat to us once again. Best of luck next week for Road America, and if for whatever reason we don't get a chance to have a chat to you, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, mate. Hutto.
Yes,
was that even Dylan De Bono that we were talking to?
Like you said, he just seems to be a reformed person. It's like he's gone away, just taking this short break between the Australian Open Wheel Nationals and week 1 of this season. He's just I don't know what's happened, but keep doing it because it's working for it now.
So I guess the major question I got to ask you before we wrap things up tonight, Hutto, are you buying a bicycle that can be ridden backwards?
Right, because I back pedal. No, I'm happy to be proven wrong, Hamish. It's not so much did I expect Dylan to be this dominant? No. Have what I've seen in these first 2 rounds kind of opened my eyes and maybe reflect that maybe that's not the best choice? Yes. Look, Dylan's looking red hot this season. Like we spoke all night tonight, and even the comments coming through on YouTube, he's looking very, very dominant. So, look, if these performances keep up, we're going to see one hell of a championship this season.
Well, we know that championships can often be stories of halves. The first half of the season, we can get one driver being ultra dominant. The second half, it can flip on its head completely. So it's not going to be over until the final checkered flag flies at the end of the season, unless somehow Dylan De Bono wins the first. I don't even know how many races we have across the first 8 rounds, but if he somehow wins every single race in the first 7 rounds, there would only be, it's round 2, Tyson. It's race 3. We had 2 races last week. It was a sprint round last week. So it's race 3, but round 2. So he's won 3 races in 2 rounds. But, if he continues like this, Hutto, could we see the first time in a long while a championship gets decided before the final round?
It's been a long, long time since we've seen that, especially in the Pro Championship. They normally go down to the final week or 2 of a series. But look, it's we can sit here and just enjoy what we're seeing. The drivers are so clinical. I've been saying that. We hope it doesn't take away from the main championship and being close. We don't want it to become, stale or boring. But that does, give the drivers behind another goal of now I'm competing for P2 and P3 being the next major benchmark, as well as the Australian Open Wheel Nationals, Hamish.
Well, that's exactly right. And it would create us a whole new storyline to take into the Australian Open Wheel Nationals. If we were to take in the most dominant champion ever, well, that would be absolutely amazing if that could happen at the end of this season. But we've still got so many more rounds to go this season, Hutto, including Road America next week for another F1 Shadow Series round and for round 3 of Season 4 of the Cooler Master Super Formula Championship. We have to give a big shout out to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Warren Brown Tools, for their continued support of the Tuesday night Fiat Supercars Series and the Sunday night Fiat Supercars Championship, as well to Cooler Master for supporting us here on the Wednesday nights for the Super Formula Championship, and to Shannon's for their continued support of the GR86 Nationals on Thursday, as well to all of our other series sponsors as well, NeuroPower, DSL Rail Services, Shunt Scenery, and Grim Industries, the home of the V8 Coffee Table, which can be seen on Prime Video's Top Gear Australia in the news, interviews, and other studio segments. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well, so you are notified by clicking the bell icon whenever we go racing here on YouTube and for SRWtv, including our Tuesday night Warren Brown Tools V8 Supercars Series, the Wednesday night Cooler Master Super Formula Championship, the Shannon's Insurance GR86 Nationals, which goes racing at Suzuka tomorrow night, the Friday night Fun Delight of the Legends World Challenge, which heads out to Zolder on Friday. Then Sunday night, we're back at Road America for the Warren Brown Tools V8 Supercars Championship. But for myself, Hamish Munro and Brad Hudson alongside me, we appreciate your time, appreciate you being here with us once again. And until next time, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mosman and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us.